Hey everyone, NCS Master here, and it's been a while since I've seen y'all here on YouTube, huh? You've probably been wondering where I've been all this time, considering it's been, about 9 months since my past video, and so before I got into this video, I wanted to explain where I have been. To get right to the point, life has not been good for me for this past long stretch of time, like this past school year. When I was making videos for that decently long stretch of time at first, I had more free time, things were a bit easier in my life at that point, but then once this past school year started, things have not been good. This has probably been the hardest single stretch in my life for me personally. School has been a hell of a lot of work. I have been having trouble getting motivated to make videos because of how difficult it has been. And another problem is I've wanted to try and move past what I've originally done for videos. Like, I kind of wanted to get beyond what I had made before, the videos that were just me sitting in front of a camera and ranting, even though that's kind of what I'm doing now. And I wanted to try and make more in-depth and actually videos that took a lot more effort, but the problem was the video making process, if you've never tried to make a well-made YouTube video, is hell. It is so much work. It is nowhere near as easy as you may initially think it is. And it was such a large jump for me, especially in such a rough time. I've barely found motivation or time to even work on it. Like, I've had a video in mind for months of top 10 games of 2020 that I've wanted to make for a long time. I started scripting it back in December. But now, even after scripting it, recording all of it, I don't even know if I feel I can or I want to make that video anymore. Because we're in April now. Top 10 games of 2020, that kind of idea has been moved on. We're not talking about the games from 2020. And I still have a month left of school. I don't even know if I could get the video out until May or even June. And by that time, that type of video would be so old hat that I don't even know if it would be fitting anymore. So now, I just want to try things. I just want to try anything I can just to put something out on YouTube. Because I like making YouTube videos. These are fun. But they take a lot of work, and especially right now, if I want to make them good, that's pretty difficult for me. I don't, like I said, I don't want to just keep sitting in front of a camera for videos, but that seems like the best thing for me to do right now. And not to say I don't like those videos. I had fun making those videos. I mean, there was some fun to be had for me just sitting in front of a camera that I put on a tripod and either reviewing something like Doom 2016 or Devil May Cry 1, or ranting my ass off about how much I hated Byleth's inclusion in Smash Ultimate. I still love that video, by the way. I'm not as heated about it as I was back then, but I had fun making that. That felt good to make that video. But I want to try something else now. So let's just try this. I thought, what's something I can talk about? And thinking about gaming, what has happened recently? Oh yeah, there was this massive bomb of a video game that many people were looking forward to, including yours truly. So, why not? Let's give this a shot. Let's try talking about Balan Wonderworld. And let's ask, what the hell happened with this game? So, Balan Wonderworld. Following this game has been interesting, to say the least. Going from, when it was first revealed, one of the most exciting games platformer fans have seen in a long time, to effectively becoming a walking meme that people only talk about just to make fun of it anymore. It's been such an interesting journey for this game simply because of how far it fell. And I just want to go over everything that happened with this game. I just want to talk about how it ended up this way and why. So I'm just going to go over the background, how it was revealed, what happened with it, how it kept getting built up, the drop off, which will be interesting to discuss, and just to see why it ended up this way, basically, and give my general thoughts on why I think it ended up this way. So Balan Wonderworld was first shown off to the world in July of 2020, specifically at the Xbox Game Showcase that happened late in that month, which, upon look back, that's really, really weird that Xbox, of all companies, would be showing off this bright, colorful 3D platformer, but I digress. It was shown to be this big effort by Yuji Naka, of all people, a very famous figure in gaming specifically associated with Sonic and Sega. And when it was shown off, people were really excited over it, having a big name coming into this head role of this unique third-party game. It looked really promising. It's nice to have a third-party 3D platformer, as most good ones only come from Nintendo nowadays. It showed to have creative power-ups, a really cool-looking world, a great art aesthetic. In a lot of ways, it really felt like this big cumulative love letter to Sega and Sega fans, despite being published by Square Enix, but it still felt really cool to see. Now, personally, I wasn't fully on board with it when I saw it. I had my reservations just because that's something I always generally have at first with a third-party franchise that kind of comes out of nowhere. But I would be lying if I said I wasn't at the very least interested and looking forward to see what it had to offer. And oh boy, it had something to offer, alright. So 2020 continued on, and we saw little bits and pieces of Balan here and there at certain gaming events. Particularly, it was shown off a little bit in a little mini Nintendo Direct in September, and then also got a little showing at the Game Awards, and people were still pretty excited for it. We hadn't really seen a larger chunk of what it would do, but people still had faith in it. And then shortly after the Game Awards, about, I would say maybe a month or so later, big news came for the game. It was actually going to be getting a demo. This in particular got a lot of people really excited, yours truly included. It felt really good to get a demo for this game because we could fully get our hands on it, see the little intricacies of it, since it hadn't been shown off in a grand fashion. So a lot of people felt we could get a solid read on the game from the demo. And unfortunately, we got more of a read than we may have wanted to get. The demo was ultimately the beginning of the end for this game. When the demo dropped, within a few hours of it releasing, there were so many complaints and so many people taking issue with the game. It was clear that this was not ready for release in the slightest. While the art style itself was still nice, the graphics of the game looked absolutely horrible. I'm talking PS2, if not early PS2 specifically, on the quality of these graphics. The Switch version in particular ran horribly, which there was no reason for it to run that badly. The Switch could absolutely handle this game the way it looks. The gameplay was just not well done. It was incredibly slow, which was one of, if not the main complaint for most people. It was absurd how slow the game handled. The power-ups were incredibly lame. They did not handle well at all. The level design was painfully easy and flat out boring in a lot of instances, with landscapes that practically made no sense the way they were designed or came into the world, like it was rolling almost as if it was like pages in a book, which actually disoriented some people. Thankfully, not myself personally, but I know some people who actually got headaches from playing the demo because of how the world almost rolled and gived when you walk towards the different environments. It's hard to explain unless you see it or play it for yourself, but it only made things even worse. There were flat out glitches and broken aspects of the game. Like, one I even specifically posted on Twitter after I saw it was the first boss in the demo actually T-poses for a split second after his intro finishes. And I'm pretty sure the characters also T-pose at certain points as well, but I don't specifically remember that one personally. But either way, it was not good. It was not even close to positive. There was massive backlash the day after the demo dropped. People began almost instantly calling for a delay because the demo dropped in late January and the game was coming out in late March. So even if they took complaints from the demo into factor, there really was no time to fix major issues with the game. And some people were hoping for at least a patch, but I don't even think a patch could have fixed the game for the most part, but I'll get into that in a minute. But things only just continued to slide for this game from there. For one, with all these issues combined into factor, this game was still going to be a full-priced game. $60, not $40, not $30, a full AAA priced game. Though I guess that would be $70 now, but I don't want to get into that debate here. And then things got even worse for the game. As it turns out, the game was releasing on the same day as another highly desired game. Well, that's not necessarily fully a problem. You know, games come out on the same day as other games all the time. What game was this? Oh, just a little something called Monster Hunter Rise, one of the biggest third-party game franchises in the entire industry, one that was specifically a Switch-exclusive title, aka the platform most people were most likely to buy this game on. Okay, things could be better, but no, then they just get even worse. News broke even later that Crash Bandicoot 4 was going to be coming to Switch and also getting enhanced versions on PS5 and Series X a couple of weeks before Balan came out. So, not only did it have to share a release date with one of the most hyped third-party releases of the year, but another platformer with a big name that had already proven itself to be a good game was getting ported the same month. Oh, and also it was getting a price cut, so Crash 4 was actually going to be cheaper than Balan Wonderworld. How did this happen? With all this bad news continuing to stack up and up and up, the devs came out and officially made an announcement that there would be a day one patch that would try to fix some of the problems with the demo. But many people felt that a patch just couldn't fix things at this point. The game was just too far gone. And that little announcement about a patch was really the last thing of note we saw of Balan. After the demo, it really just kind of went silent for the most part. And that silence continued into the release date itself. So the release date comes around and nobody's talking about it. Okay, some people were talking about it. It was getting a light amount of attention on Twitter, but it was absolutely buried by Monster Hunter in the general discussion, and the negative reception from the demo only had made things worse. And so launch day came and went, and the only real discussion of the game was the fact that nobody was talking about it and that nobody really cared about it, despite it starting off as such a hype game that so many were looking forward to at first. And somehow, things continued to get even worse after launch day. It became pretty obvious right away that review codes were not sent out to any reviewers, as no early reviews or launch day reviews were releasing for this game. If you went to Metacritic on launch day, there were no critic reviews whatsoever, which, if you know the games industry, is not a good sign. If there are no game review copies sent out, that is a bad omen for the title in question. And then when reviews finally did come out, the game got utterly blasted by professional reviewers. It got super poor reviews across the board. It did really poorly across all consoles on Metacritic. The Switch in particular, whoo boy, it landed deep in the red. And you want to know something particularly sad? It is currently the 4th lowest rated Switch game of all time on Metacritic. It rated lower than games like FIFA 21 and WWE 2K18. Like, that is just... You have to try to be that bad to be worse than one of the most copy-paste sports games ever made and one of the worst Switch ports ever made. Though oddly, despite the utterly horrible game reviews from critics, there was a large amount of very, very positive user reviews. But if you read into them, they sounded like the App Store reviews that you read that have 5 stars that says, "This game is fantastic, would highly recommend," which most likely means, in that case, and in this case here, they were probably paid off to try and misguide people. I have literally seen multiple posts on Twitter mocking just how lame those reviews are and how obvious it is that they aren't genuine. Oh, and also, this game did not just bomb critically, it also bombed financially. Arguably, somehow, even worse financially. Reports came out a few days afterward that the game sold physically around 2,000 copies in Japan. Not 200,000, not even 20,000, 2,000. It has been nowhere to be seen on the Switch's bestseller charts in both the US and the UK, which rates the top 30, and it has also been reported that it has not even cracked the top 40 in the UK on any platform at all, not just Nintendo. And remember, this is not some super small indie game. This is a game made by Yuji Naka, published by Square Enix, and had hype showcases at an Xbox showcase, a minor Nintendo Direct, and the Game Awards. And it sold 2,000 copies in Japan physically as of now. And at this point, everyone's moved on. Like, no one cares or talks about this game anymore unless they want a meme on how terrible it ended up being and how terrible it's performing. Man, you want to talk about a fall from grace. Interjecting with an audio update here, because somehow it continues to get even worse. As I'm editing the video, news has broken that the demo is being removed from the Switch's eShop today. This game can't even stop failing as I'm making the damn video about it. So what caused this exactly? What is my take on why this game fell so far from the original hype reveal? Me personally, I think it's a combination of both poor development sensibility and a lack of time. What I was getting into earlier with the fact that a patch wouldn't fix things is that a lot of Balan's biggest problems are baked into the game's core design, honestly. This game, if it got delayed, it would need a big one, because it would need a major, if not full, development reset because of the amount of problems that were just inherent to the design of this game. The power-ups being incredibly lacking. They're not like Kirby, where there's all these different moves to them. They did one thing and that was it. The focus on one-button gameplay for some reason, which made it so you could not jump if a power-up you had did not come with the ability to jump, which... how is that possible in 2021 with game design? There was just inherently weak level design to everything. There were stupidly designed power-ups, like one you may have seen is the Fox box, where you randomly just turn into a box at certain intervals, where one reviewer literally got the power-up and because of it immediately careened off a cliff because he transformed when he didn't want to. It's clear that development was troubled on this game and they needed more time, but they weren't given any. I don't know if Square just didn't have major faith overall in this production, but if they wanted this game to do well, they should have put more care into it and should have given it more time. But that seems to be a thing recently with them, especially with games that they publish. If they feel it's gonna flop, they won't put any more effort into it and just shoot it out there without any fanfare or anything and just hope people will forget about it and move on. Remember The Quiet Man, anybody? Yeah. I think it particularly hurt as well that the Switch version was as bad as it was. That was the key platform to get this game on. A bright, colorful, artistically styled 3D platformer, that screams Nintendo. That is built to be on a Nintendo system. And yet it turned out to be the worst performing system of them all when it comes to this game, when there is no reason it should be that way. The Switch can handle games like Mario Odyssey and Dragon Quest XI. It should not have any problem running Balan Wonderworld. That's not on the Switch, let me just make that clear. The performance of this game on the Switch is by no means the system's fault. Ultimately, this whole situation is just sad. Yuji Naka has gone on record saying this was his one chance to get a platformer made for Square. They said this was it for him. He had one opportunity and it was squandered. There's no other way to put it. It was just a failure at that opportunity. And I think what hurts the most is that this isn't just a bad game. It's a bad game that clearly had so much potential going for it. Those games can honestly hurt even worse. Some games you have no expectations for, and if they're bad, it's like, whatever. I never expected anything from this game in the first place. But Balan Wonderworld clearly had good things about it. The art design is really nice. The characters are well designed. The music is actually surprisingly good. I didn't mention the music. I really like the first level theme. I've hummed that to myself sometimes. It has a good soundtrack, even though one of the songs kind of really rips off a Ghostbusters theme, but that's neither here nor there. And saddest of all, comparisons that perhaps may be the most accurate, this is effectively Yuji Naka's Mighty No. 9 at this point. A game that had a ton of hype behind it because of a big name developer, only for it to just pan out and faceplant upon release. Now, it's not a complete one-to-one comparison, as there are different factors when looking at Mighty No. 9 and Balan Wonderworld. Like, for example, Balan wasn't hyped up for 3 years with multiple delays and hugely crowdfunded. But honestly, putting the games side by side, I really think I may play Mighty Number 9 over Balan Wonderworld. Like, if I had the two games in front of me and someone said, you have to play one of these, you can't say no, and you can't just, like, throw the games out the window or something like that. No, you have to play them. I honestly may take Mighty Number 9 over Balan. I think, as much as it can be said about Mighty Number 9, it is a slightly better game, and that's saying a hell of a lot more about Balan than it is Mighty Number 9. And, like I said, in the end, it just feels sad. This went from one of the most exciting third-party platformers we have seen in so long, to all of us just less than 2 weeks later looking back and asking, man, what the hell happened? Thanks for watching, everyone. This is the first video I've put out in a really long time, and it feels nice to finally make one again. If you like this video, it would mean the world to me if you could subscribe. I want to make more videos again sometime in the near future, and your support means everything to me. And even if you don't subscribe, even just leaving a like or a comment would really mean a lot. Once again, thanks for watching, and hope to see you in the next video.